Welcome guys, I know this is a bit of a different type of game to what I usually play, but I've decided to start a career on F1 Manager.
Formula One, a sport that spans hearts, minds and nations, where the 20 best drivers in the world come together to take on some of the world's most historic circuits. And that legacy continues today. The 2021 championship was thrilling from start to finish, and 2022 is set to be even better. New regulations will usher in an age of pioneering changes. New driving talent alongside returning champions will be dueling it out to the bitter end. The pressure will be on the team principals in the upcoming season as they manage their drivers, their cars, and the whole team to push to victory. This is not a challenge for the faint-hearted. This is Formula One. Mercedes returned to F1 in 2010, and since 2014 they've won the Constructors' Championships back-to-back every year. In 2021 they took home the Constructors' Championship once more, although they narrowly missed out on the Drivers' Championship, coming in second. Heading into 2022, Mercedes will insist on dominating the competition. Nothing less than the fastest car and the most wins will give the Silver Arrows the outcome they want to see at the end of this new season and beyond.
So I know this is not going to be the most entertaining of series, but I just fancy playing a chill game for a bit. So I'll go back to proper strategy games soon, but for now I just fancy watching some cars going around a track. So I'm going to start off with the worst
is
team.
A legendary name in F1, winning 9 Constructors' Championships in their heyday. The Williams family sold the team in 2020, and the 2021 season saw them fighting well from start to end. They finished 8th overall, thanks to some incredible performances by George Russell in his last year as a Williams driver. In 2022, Williams have Nicholas Latifi and new signing Alex Albon, returning to F1 after a year away to make up their driver team. The pressure is on for them to up their performance this season and push their way back towards those midfield places.
Yep, so we're going to start as the worst team and see if we can fight our way to championship contention. So we are 10th out of 10th on car performance, 9th out of 10th on driver, 9th out of 10th on staff, 6th out of 10th on headquarters. Not surprising. I don't think any of the headquarters actually start very high though. Okay, let's jump in. Right, so first thing on my list is to get some decent young drivers in, because this first season I'm not going to be doing anything in terms of competing, because I've got the worst car, and this first season is just going to be about setting everything up ready for the second season, really. So let's scout for replacement. Let's go on overall rating and then go down through and look at the age of all of the drivers. Oscar Piastri, he would be a decent catch. Jack Doohan, he'd be a decent catch. Theo Pourchaire, he would be a decent catch. So I reckon I'm going to go for all 3 of them. So let's have a little look. I have no idea how much I'm going to need to give these drivers. So let's give them a starting bonus. Let's try 200k. They're rookie drivers really, so they shouldn't ask for too much. And then salary of, I don't know, 500k? Let's try that, see what it says. He's actually better than Nicholas Latifi. Interesting. Well, looks like we signed him. Contract accepted. So I probably could have got away with paying him a bit less. But I'll take that. So we've got a decent young driver in the first seat. So let's see if we can get Jack Doohan in the second seat. So let's try and give him 400k, seeing as the other one was happy with 500k. Then let's give him 100k starting bonus. Oh, I left it on one season. Oops. If I don't hire him, I think he will go straight down to no patience. So I'll just have to hire him and then put him up to 5 seasons on the next season. And then we want Theo Pourchaire. He can be the reserve driver. So let's see if he'll accept 100k. He probably won't. He's got very high patience, so we can up it. I'll give him 100k starting bonus. Okay, so we're going to need to give him maybe 200. He's still got high patience, so we can keep up in it until he accepts. Medium patience. There we go, 300k. Happy days. Right, so we've got 3 decent drivers. They'll probably stay with us for the entire game. So let's have a look at the staff now. Not really sure if it's worth spending loads of money on the staff. So I'm already paying him 2.1 million. I might just wait until the contract's finish before I get new staff, because they've all got a lot of years, so that's fine by me. So we're going to need to upgrade some of our stuff to get more engineers. Not really too fussed about the scouting at the moment. Pit crew, what do we want to focus on? I'd say tyre changes probably make the most sense. I mean, balanced might be a decent... Yeah, I'll stick with balanced. I'm happy with that. Okay, let's have a look at the facilities. So, Wind Tunnel and CFD Simulator are the 2 most important, as these are going to give our research and development the best upgrades. So how much are these? That's 10 million. I've only got 16 million. that's also 10 million. So let's upgrade this CFD simulator. And then the design center is important as well. So we need 11.5 million for the design center. Okay, so we'll probably do that next. Okay, so let's take a look at our cars and the projects. Let's design some new parts. So I'm going to start off with the underfloor, as that takes the most amount of months. And I'm just going to put all of my hours into one piece at a time, rather than spread it about. So we can only design 2 parts. We've got 10 engineers, but I think I'll put all 6 engineers onto the one that I'm putting all the wind tunnel hours into. Now you can change these and adjust it yourself, but each time you change these away from the middle, it increases the amount of months or days that it takes to complete. No matter whether you turn it up or down, it increases the days. So leaving it in the middle is the best option, which is a bit sad because, you know, it's a bit boring doing that, but it is what it is. So we may as well choose the best option. It's counterintuitive to change it. Stick the most engineers on. Now with designing, you can put engineers on and it won't change anything. With designing parts, this is. But if you're designing future research and development, the more engineers you use, the worse the stats are. So it's actually better to use the least amount of engineers on the research and development and the most amount of engineers on the actual part development. So you can choose intense, which is supposedly going to increase the next upgrade that you do. But I've never really noticed too much difference before, and it costs so much money that I think just sticking it normal is the best option. So that's what we're going to do. Next thing we're going to do is the rear wing. So just balanced and just normal. Okay, so this first season I'm going to be putting everything into research rather than car part design for this season, because the research gives you the best benefits long term. But we can't actually do this until the 18th of April. So we'll do design until the 18th of April, and then we'll switch over to research after that. Okay, I think we are good to go. So I've done the cars, done the drivers, not doing the staff, done the facilities. Yep, good to advance. Okay. We got sponsor obligations. Welcoming people. Here we go, season kickoff party. Improve driver morale, improve staff morale. Well, we're obviously going to do that for 10 grand. And the season is about to kick off. So you have to choose your performance targets. If you fail these, you lose money. You obviously earn more money than you get, than you lose. But our car is so bad at the moment that we're not actually going to manage to get any of these. So we're just going to leave that as it is, and we're going to jump into a race.
Welcome to the archipelago of Formula One. Bahrain might have a small land footprint, but it's showing its big spirit right now in the grandstands. Either way, it's time for another fantastic weekend of Grand Prix racing. The Bahrain International Circuit is a challenging track, and the cars routinely have to brake from high gear to low to take the narrow turns. With the need for downhill braking, the risk of locking up is one drivers will need to manage. It's all about focus and balance to get victory here. We might still be early in the season, but that doesn't mean we can sit back and relax. Everything is up for grabs, and nothing is certain at this stage. Let the weekend begin!
Okay, so the most important thing on this screen is to see if it's going to rain on race day, and it's not, so that's good. We don't need to worry about doing that. Now on P1, Practice 1, your reserve driver earns more experience than your main drivers do, so you should always put your reserve driver in on P1. And then we have to set the cars up. So on this first one, basically what happens is if you don't do the practice sessions yourself, if you skip them, the AI changes your car setup, which is a little bit annoying. So on this first round, there's not really much point in tweaking it yourself because the AI is going to also retweak it, and I found that it makes virtually no difference if you tweak it yourself on this first session. So we're just going to leave it as it is. So the reserve driver got some development points for that, which is why you always put him in on P1. But then we don't use him for the rest now. Okay, so now it's time to tweak these setups. So we need to change this quite significantly. So let's drop this down to here. Yeah, about there. This one is the next one that you need to do. So we're going to need it around about here. I think that is probably a good place. Then the roll bar, this traction, is the next one. That looks quite nice there. Then we need the cornering. So that has brought the traction, the roll bar in quite a lot. So let's see if this... So that brings the roll bar out again. So let's leave it just there. And then this braking stability needs to be close to the white line. To the green line, sorry. Okay, that looks quite nice. Do that again on the next car. So the oversteer and the straights are looking really good, so we only need to tweak them by 1 notch. So let's just put it up. Come on, up 1 notch. Then the roll bar is really bad, so we're going to need to move that down to about here. That's now moved this quite a lot, so let's move that back in to about there. Cornering needs moving all the way up, which has then moved the front wing out of whack, so let's bring that back. That's now moved the straights a little bit out of where it needs to be. So this one's a bit more awkward to deal with. I think we're going to need to move the rear wing just to there. So yeah, this is certainly a bit more awkward to set up than the last one. But I think that'll be alright for now. We'll check how it looks after P2.
We return for the next day of our...
Wow, we managed to get 97%. So there's no point in even changing that. That's amazing on our first real tweak. That never happens. So we've got 86% on this one. So we just need to tweak. Let's have a look, see what the other one is. The other one's at 4 degrees and 11.5. This one's at 6.5. So let's change that to 4 degrees. And change this one to 11.5. Let's see if that is going to bring it closer to what we need. And then we have 7332015. So the setups aren't necessarily the same for both cars. So you can't just copy each one and it work out exactly how you want it to. But they are usually quite similar. So looks like we need to change this back to here probably. Let's do that. It's going to be around about there, I reckon. I think this does need to come out one more. Somewhere along them lines. So we got to 92%, which is pretty much as close as we're going to get it. We got the straights to optimal. So the one that we would need to change is this tyre camber. But that I can't reduce it. Sorry, I can't put it up any further. I'd have to reduce it. So I think this is about as close as we're going to get. We could move this to there. That'll make a tiny bit of difference. Okay, there's no point in doing the qualifying yourself, so we may as well just simulate to race. And unsurprisingly, we finished last and third to last. It's actually surprising that we didn't finish double last.
Themselves in, ready for race day.
Williams had a good performance in qualifying. Now they'll be eager to demonstrate that they can have an even better race. Aston Martin did a good job during qualifying, and they're pretty much where everyone expected them to be on the grid. Now it's up to them to defy expectations during the race itself. And the weather is sunny here today, apart from a few clouds. Let's hope they remain scattered on the horizon.
And there's going to be a lot for the teams to handle. So will the drivers and their cars be able to cope with the pressure? Let's find out right here at the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Okay, time to set up the car tyres, and also I like to put the fuel up, even though it might seem counterintuitive to load up too much fuel. Overtaking is very difficult, and the best way to overtake I've found is to use aggressive lift and coast, so push on the lift and coast, but that uses fuel. So putting some extra fuel in gives you the opportunity to overtake a little bit more. Now, I don't think that we're going to be doing much overtaking with these Williams cars, not in this first season anyway, but this is the best choice for future, so we may as well do it now. And the ERS, you can either have it on deploy, which is meant to be the fastest, but it says that it uses the same amount of energy as overtake, but it doesn't. I've tested it and it uses more, so we may as well leave it on overtake. Now the beginning of the race is the most important, so we may as well have it set to this at the beginning. We can try and harvest some of this back if we get the opportunity, but in this first season we're not really going to be doing too much, to be honest. So let's take a look at the tyre strategies. So this is the best suggested strategy. So let's have a look at this and tweak it a little bit if we can. So apparently, if we drop this by a little bit, then it will give us a little bit more speed, but we're going to be close to the wire on the tyres at the end, so I think I might just leave everything as it is. So yeah, the AI did a good job of setting everything up for us. Now, I do like to have an alternate strategy in place just in case there's a safety car. So let's have a look to see what would happen if we had a hard tyre at the end. So let's have a look, see what we've got here. If I went for 2 soft and then 1 hard, rather than soft, medium, soft. If I went soft, soft, medium, and then a safety car happened, I could jump in and put soft, soft, hard on. So that would give us the best tactical options. This soft is actually already damaged from the practice sessions and the qualifying. So you can see on here. Oh, interesting. According to this, we have got 2 tyres that are undamaged. So I don't know why that's showing up as already worn. That doesn't make any sense. Ah, there we go. Don't know why it chose. Oh, because I put 3 different softs on. Right, there we go. That's the reason why. Okay, so that is the ideal strategy. And then if we get a safety car in here, so 1:18:35. So where would we bring in the hard tyre? So if I brought in the hard tyre, so between 35 and 30. So if a safety car between, let's say 29 and 35, then we can come in early and put a hard tyre on instead of a medium tyre. Now you don't want both drivers pitting on the same lap, obviously, so the next driver I think I'll bring in at lap 19 and 36. In fact, I might actually go 18:35 on this one. And then 17:34 on this one. because we are pushing the fuel, which also wears the tyres down a bit more. So I reckon that is probably the best setup. And then, same again, I don't need to set the alternate strategy up, I can just copy this one. So let's jump into the race.
With the skies mostly clear, tonight's race shouldn't hold any unpleasant surprises. Looking now at the Williams. With their starting position in the back 10, they'll have their work cut out for them. And looking at the second Williams car. They're starting in the bottom half of the grid today, so there's a lot of cars between them and the podium. The teams are ready to go. And this is it, the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
So yeah, there's going to be a lot of fast forwarding in this first season, because we've not really got much that we can do.
Keep the head down, keep the head down. I don't know what we have left.
But I'll just go in ×1 speed for the first couple of laps. And then I'll turn the speed up afterwards.
And there's an overtake from Williams.
That looks like a nice overtake there. Nicely done, Piastri. And if he can keep hold of it.
And a new position, just gained by Williams.
It's going to be tight keeping hold of it round here because he's got the inside line on me.
They've locked up and gone straight on.
Nicely done. Magnussen locked up and went off, so we've gained a place there.
Good job, good job.
Doohan has also overtaken Stroll. So obviously at the moment we're in overtake mode, so we're actually using our electrical deployment, which is why we're doing quite well. And we're also in push mode on the fuel, so that's why we're outperforming the other cars, which are actually better performance cars than us. So once I run out of electrical fuel and run a bit low on electrical deployment, and run a bit low on fuel, things are going to get a little bit worse for our drivers. So what we want to do is try and get as high as we can right at the start of the race, and then try and hold on to what we've gained for the rest of the race.
Firm on DRS.
So I assume that if you're watching this you are a Formula 1 fan, and if you're not, then I'll explain the DRS system. So basically on the track, tell if I click the right thing. On the track you have sections that are called DRS sections, or DRS zones. Now in these DRS zones, a part of your car, the rear flap, opens up and you actually get a speed bonus, a speed boost. Now the DRS only opens up if during the DRS detection areas you are within 1 second of the driver in front of you. It's to encourage or to make it easier to overtake, to make the sport more entertaining. So the best strategy is to try and stay within 1 second of the car in front of you. Now obviously you're going to want to try and overtake if you can, but if you can't overtake, then it's a good idea to try and conserve your fuel and your electrical deployment, and possibly your tyres as well, just sitting behind a car that you can't overtake and using the DRS boost to keep you within 1 second range. And then if you start dropping out of 1 second range, then you use your fuel and electrical deployment and possibly your tyres as well to get back within 1 second. So that is the major strategy of the game and the sport, more to the point, is trying to stay within 1 second of the driver in front, and at the same time trying to get 1 second, more than 1 second away from the driver behind you. So you can see on this side here, my driver Piastri is within 1 second of Schumacher in front of me, and he's also more than 1 second ahead of the driver behind him. So the driver behind won't be getting DRS, but we will be getting DRS from the driver in front.
Nice work.
So that is the ideal situation. Now, what you can do if you have two of your drivers close together,
And there's an overtake from Williams.
one next to each other, that's the word,
The DRS.
then you can slow the driver in front down to be able to give the DRS to the driver that's behind you. But at the moment, we can't slow our driver in front down because we'll lose the DRS on Schumacher. Okay, so we are out of electrical deployment with Doohan, so we're going to put it onto neutral. We could put it onto harvest to try and get some electrical deployment back, but harvest is much slower than neutral,
Looks like
so we
Aston
would
Martin
be
have just
at
gained the race
danger
position.
of being overtaken. Now you can see Vettel has just overtaken Doohan. Now that is because his car is technically faster than mine, and we've run out of electrical deployment, so we're probably not going to be able to hold on to that position. So in this situation here, where the car in front has also got DRS, we're almost certainly not going to be able to overtake him because he's also got the DRS. So there's no point in using the electrical and the fuel at the moment, so we may as well turn them down.
We want to leave court, please.
And we're just going to use the DRS to keep within range. If we get the opportunity to drop this down to harvest and this down to conserve and still stay within DRS, then that is the ideal situation. But because the cars in front are technically faster than mine, we probably aren't going to be able to manage that. We can see the DRS is active here when it turns green. So I could continue to try and fight with Doohan, trying to overtake, or I could just accept the position I'm in, conserve the fuel, and just stay behind him for now. But I'm obviously under threat from the cars behind me as well, so it is a little bit of a danger trying to conserve sitting behind a cart when I'm already being attacked. So we'll stay on push with Doohan, and we'll just stay on balanced with Piastri. So all we're doing really is looking here at the moment to see if Piastri is going to drop more than a second behind. He is on the verge of doing so. So at this point, there's not really much that we can do tactically. So this is where we can just speed up the time and just keep our eye on these interval times here. So it looks like Doohan actually managed to overtake with the DRS, which is good, but that's going to keep happening in reverse when Vettel gets DRS on us.
Aston Martin with a great play there. They've moved up a place. Oh, we've had a spin.
So it looks like Ricciardo's just spun. We can actually check out the replays if we
Daniel
want.
Ricciardo involved here. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The car's just gone. That's going to be a big blow to the team. Will they be able...
So unfortunately, the spins and lockups and crashes are all just repeated. The visuals are just repeated all the time.
Just gained by Williams.
They're always the same every time. Apart from if they actually crash into another car. That's the only time you get a dynamic, unique visual. So we've had a crash. So it looks like Magnussen was involved.
Sounds like there's been contact.
And I think Magnussen was behind us, wasn't he? Oh, I didn't manage to click on it in time. But it did say multiple cars. So it looks like he hit into Stroll because Ricciardo's overtaken Stroll now. But Piastri is still within 1 second, so that's good. I think it's time to just put balanced on Doohan because
Lifting coasting.
we need to stay close to Delta, which is the amount of fuel that you actually need to complete the race. So having your cars overtake and get overtaken and then try to overtake again and trying to defend and attack, all that type of stuff will gain experience for the driver. So if a driver like Bottas here is not near any drivers in front or behind him, he's not actually going to gain any driver experience. So it's actually good to be in a position where you're fighting all the time. Looks like we had a lock up there. So yeah, it's good to fight other drivers just to gain experience for your driver. You can then spend that experience
McLaren gain a position
on multiple different aspects for your driver. My personal favourites to increase for driver experience is preventing mistakes like locking up and spinning. Because everything else you can basically improve by improving your car, by making your car better. But you can't improve mistakes by improving your car. So I prefer to concentrate on minimising driver mistakes first, and then actually improve the driver's speed and overtaking and things like that after you've cut down on the mistakes. So Piastri's doing a fantastic job. He's up to 14th position, but he's just outside of DRS. So we're going to push, see if we can get into DRS
reducing
range.
the lift and core.
Copy.
So really you want to be around about 0.7, which we are there. So I'll just balance again.
Lift core increase, please.
Yeah.
So it looks like he keeps dropping out of DRS range, but he does keep getting back in again, so he is obviously getting DRS at some point. So he's got DRS there. So although he keeps dropping out of it, he does keep getting back into it, so let's just leave him as he is for now. Right, actually looks like he's dropped too far behind now. So we're going to need to push to see if we can get closer. So he's actually fighting with Sainz at the moment, which is why he's slowed down a bit, because he's doing defensive driving. So we're going to see if we can use Sainz to pull us along with his
Keep your head down.
DRS activation, him giving us DRS. So we just entered the
Ferrari,
pit window.
advance the race position.
So the pit window is, I think it's 3 laps behind and 3 laps in front. Either that or 2 laps behind and 2 laps in front. So we don't actually need to pit quite yet. We pit when it goes into the green section of the spot. So Sainz is a lot faster than us, being in a Ferrari. So we are dropping out of DRS. But we did manage to get it then. So we need to do our best to see if we can stay within DRS range. It's probably not going to activate on the next one.
They've gone wide.
So we're just waiting for the pit window at the moment. So we're in our optimal pit stop lap now. So we're going to set up the pit stop. Now it tells you what the recommended pit is, what your strategy is with these arrows next to the tyre. So you know that your pit strategy is this tyre, but you can also see it up here. This is the stint we've just done. That's the next stint we're going to be doing. So we're going on to softs next.
Sounds like someone's locked up.
Bottas is pitted.
Go in, go in.
Copy, Bob.
So during the pit stop area, it's a good time to use your push on the fuel and deploy on the electrical deployment, because positions can be gained and lost during the pit stops. So that's when you really want to eke out them extra few milliseconds if you can.
So Schumacher has pitted.
So we had a nice clean release there. You can get into positions, even if you're first in the pits, where other drivers are driving past you. And so you can't get a release. So you can actually lose positions even if you're first into the pits, because of other drivers that have got their pit lane or pit stop later down the lane. So in my opinion, having the final one, the final pit stop, is the best position to be in if you're the first into the pits, and having it at the back is the best position to be in if you're the last into the pits. But you don't have any control over that, I don't believe. I think it might be determined on where you finished in the Constructors' Championship the previous year. So I think the winner of the Constructors' Championship is the first pit stop, and the lowest down in the Constructors' Championship is the last pit stop. Okay, so let's sort the tyres
Vettel
out
has
for
just
doing.
pitted.
Put him on push,
Box.
just to see if we can eke out just that little bit more before he comes into the pits.
Okay, reduce lift and coast.
Copy.
Oh, they've run wide!
So we can see up here what tyres everybody else has chosen to go onto. So we are the only team that has decided to do double softs. Everyone else is going to be putting softs on their third stint. So this means we're going to be slightly faster than everybody else just for a short amount of time, but we're going to be slower than everybody else right at the end of the race. So this particular strategy is in hope of a safety car, basically.
I'm into lane.
Okay, so
A fan.
I'm going to carry on
Watch
pushing
the white line on exit.
with the fuel, even though we're going to go into negative delta, because I want to see if I can get within DRS of the car in front of me. Now, I am 4 seconds behind, so I would need to use a lot of fuel to get within range, but once I'm within range, I might be able to use conserve to get the fuel back again. It's worth the risk anyway. You can also get fuel back if you get a safety car, so it's always a good risk to take. So I'm not sure if Doohan has spun at some point and I didn't notice, but he's miles behind now. So let's have a look. Yeah, everybody else around him has pitted. So he must have spun, he must have come off the track to be that far behind everybody.
And there's an overtake from Williams. And a new position, just gained by Williams.
My mistake. I don't think Magnussen and Stroll had pitted. Oh no, they had. I'm a bit confused as to what happened there then. It's possible that I've just overtaken them. Oh, I have overtaken them.
Let's take
So
a look
let's
at the
take a look at the replay.
Now we see the Williams here.
So having the soft tyres and push on the lift and coast has actually meant that I caught up with them.
And there
I thought they
go,
were way too
moving
far
up a
ahead to
position.
catch up with,
Just
but
incredible manoeuvring.
clearly not.
The team watching on.
So Doohan's now miles behind the person in front, so there's no point in using any more fuel. So we may as well just stay as we are and keep our fuel close to Delta. Piastri has almost caught up with Zhou, so he's almost into DRS range now. So that's really good. If we can get within 0.5 and then try and use conserve to get this fuel back again and just hope that we can stay within DRS, that is the ideal situation. So we're just keeping a look up here. We're within 0.3.
I think we've
So
had a car
let's
run
knock this
wide.
down to conserve and see if we can actually remain within DRS. Which is working.
Is that a new race position for Haas?
So yeah, this is working. We're getting the fuel back that we spent to catch up with him. So I'll wait until we're at Delta, and then I'll go on to push again and turn the electrical deployment on and see if we can actually overtake him. Right, so the pit window is coming up, so there's not really much point in using fuel to try and overtake him because we're on a different pit strategy to his. So we're just going to remain on conserve, just stay behind him until we pit.
Haas with an overtake there.
Now the game does usually pause when you get to your optimal pit window, but it doesn't always work. So you do have to make sure that you pause it yourself when it goes into the green bar. Okay, so we did get the automatic pause that time, so we are moving on to medium tyres now. So we didn't get the opportunity to take advantage of a safety car, but it was always worth the risk.
Box, box.
So there's no point in staying in conserve anymore, so let's just go into balanced.
Reduce the lift and core.
Copy.
Haas with an overtake.
Right, it looks like I might have spun, or I might just be slowing down considerably because of the tyres are really degraded. Because Ricciardo's overtaken me, and Vettel has really caught up. So we have the optimal pit lap for Doohan.
And we're boxing this lap.
Okay, so we're miles behind Vettel because he hasn't pit yet. So now is a good time to push to try and get in front of him. So when he pits behind us. He comes out of the pits behind us. And then we're just going to have to try and hold him off at the end of the race. So Doohan is quite far behind. He's actually dropping back, so I don't think it's worth trying to push with Doohan. Don't think he's got the speed to be able to catch up to Magnussen, sadly.
Seems to have been a lockup.
Okay, so now we're getting close to the end of the race. We need to make sure that we don't get into a position where conserve won't give us back enough fuel to finish the race. So you can usually get about 0.2 per lap. That's only an average. I don't actually know exactly how much you get. Each circuit gives you a different amount. So we are going to need to start conserving pretty soon. Unfortunately, Piastri's just run wide, which is going to cost us a bit of time.
Look at that! They've run wide! Here's the replay.
Can watch the replay.
Now we see the Williams here. And they've gone wide.
Oh, it was
Way
barely. It was barely a mistake at all. That won't cost us hardly any time. So I think once we're within 10 laps of the finish, I'm gonna go into conserve mode. So we are getting the warnings now about the fuel.
We've just had a spin.
Okay, now that we've just been
Looks
overtaken
like that was a position
by
gain
Ricardo,
for Alfa Romeo.
it's probably a good time to just go into conserve mode now. We need to get back this fuel. It'd be nice if we could stay in front of Vettel, but we are the slowest car on the track, so really we should be finishing 19th and 20th. So anything above 19th is a victory. Doesn't feel like a victory being 18th and 17th and 16th, but for this car, that is a victory. That is our target, basically. 17th and 18th. Okay, so Vettel's overtaken us now, but we were never going to stay in front
like
of him
Aston Martin have just gained a race position.
while we were in conserve mode. So now we just need to see if we can stay in front of Magnussen. So once the fuel gets into Delta, then we will just go into balanced mode and try and remain outside of DRS range of Magnussen. Might just do it now that we've got 0.1. You do gain a little bit being imbalanced, so even though we're at 0.1 and balanced, you can gain about 0.1 every 5 to 10 laps. It's different depending on what engine manufacturer you're with. So some cars will gain, and I think some cars actually might even lose a little bit, maybe 0.1 in over the entire race, but most cars will gain about 0.1 every 5 to 10 laps. Right, unfortunately, my driver slowed down to let Perez and Verstappen in front, which has now let Magnussen into DRS range. So that was a bit unfortunate that we had to let the leaders overtake us. So Magnussen has now overtaken us, but we are still ahead of Stroll.
Is that a new race position for Haas?
With both of our drivers. So fingers crossed we can stay within DRS range and then try and overtake right on the last lap. But it looks like he's too fast for me. Yeah, he's too fast for me. He's actually broken out of DRS range already. But we've finished 18th and 19th instead of 19th and 20th, so we're one place ahead of where we should be with both drivers.
Last lap, last lap.
Okay.
May as well have a nice first person view of this last lap. A wing camera, why not?
That's Leclerc! Charles Leclerc is today's winner.
Okay, checkered flag, checkered flag.
And there is the first race of the season.
Good work from the Williams driver here today. This was a mixed performance from Williams today. Some excellent decisions and then some strategies that will need a bit of work.
There will definitely be some lessons to learn for them, but this was solid work.
Now that all the points have been tallied, the team is in 10th place in the constructor standings.
The teams now look ahead to the next round, where they'll duel it out in the sand dunes of Saudi Arabia.
So Charles Leclerc won the race with Perez and Verstappen following behind. Sainz got a penalty, so I think he had a bit of an accident, which is why he finished 6th. Valtteri Bottas in an Alfa Romeo, well done. Lewis Hamilton in 5th. Fernando Alonso, my favourite driver, in 7th. And then Lando Norris is another one of my favourite drivers in 8th. Mick Schumacher in 9th. Whoa! Okay, well, that is surprising. He gained 7 places. Yuki Tsunoda as well. These two are... I don't want to be too offensive, but these two are not the most reliable of drivers. Let's put it like that. Both nice guys, but they are not reliable at all. They crash almost every single race. Not in real life, in the game. In real life, they only crash every few races. Pierre Gasly, another fantastic driver. George Russell again, another fantastic driver. Right, well, that is the first race. Baku. Oh, sorry, not Baku. Bahrain. So here is our experience. We got the 500 experience for the reserve driver in P1. If you don't put them in P1, they don't get any experience whatsoever. Where if you put them in just for that P1, they get almost as much and even more than the drivers that actually race, which is why you always need to put them in P1. So it looks like he's got the most growth potential, followed by Piastri, and Doohan is slightly behind. Very nice. Very nice indeed. You can actually see up here the overtakes and defends. So Piastri managed to get 10 overtakes and 5 defends. 1 failed overtake and 1 failed defend. That's incredibly good ratios. And Doohan got 10 overtakes and 5 defends. That's really good. Oh no, it didn't. Ignore me. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. That's how many points they get. It's the times next to it. I thought they were ridiculous odds. So he got 3 overtakes and 6 defends. 2 failed overtakes and 6 failed defends. Still good though, 3 overtakes. And Doohan managed to get 14 overtakes. So because he was fighting with, I think it was Vettel, he got quite a lot of experience because he was fighting a lot. Well, although Piastri did a lot better, he got less experience because he wasn't fighting. So yeah, it can be a good thing to be battling another competitor. So we got some money from the sponsorship. So we can start putting that money towards the facilities. The facilities are the most important thing because obviously they are what help you long term. But we need 11.5 million. So we won't be able to actually use it quite yet. So we've got some suspension manufactured here. So this is one of the auto designs that you have at the start of the campaign. So we can actually manufacture another one of these. Let's see how much difference it makes. Let's compare it to the other car. So 0.01 top speed, 0.001 G on the low speed cornering, 0.02 on the low speed dirty air cornering, 0.02 medium speed and 0.03 on the high speed. So it's a little bit better on the cornering and it's marginally better on the speed, but it is still worth manufacturing one, so we will do that. May as well get the same parts for both cars. So it says a difficult race, but I think we performed quite well considering we've got the worst car. Okay, we are going into Saudi Arabia next, so we will save this for the next episode. So if you've managed to make it to the end, fair play to you. I know this isn't the most exciting game in the world, but it's a nice chill game. I enjoy playing it, so I just thought I'd record it, see if anybody else enjoys watching. So cheers for watching guys, take care, and I shall see you in the next one.